How did a Slovenian model get an Einstein visa meant for Nobel Prize winners and Olympic champions? Melania Trump received this exclusive visa in 2001, but her qualifications didn't match the requirements. Even more shocking, she worked illegally in America before getting proper papers. Her nude photo shoots were more extreme than anyone imagined, including one with lesbian themes that stayed hidden for decades. But the biggest secret involves her marriage to Donald Trump and why they've lived separate lives for years. Today, we're revealing the hidden truths about America's most mysterious First Lady. Melania Trump's story began on April 26, 1970, in Novo Mesto, Slovenia. Back then, it was part of communist Yugoslavia. Life was hard. Her family lived in Sevnica, a small town where factories lined the riverside and smokestacks filled the sky. Their apartment was tiny, with concrete walls, shared stairways, and plain furniture. Most families, including the Kanavs, survived on ration cards. Sugar and oil were precious. Bananas and chocolate were rare treats, saved for special days. People earned less than $100 a month. Her father, Victor, worked as a car dealer for the state. Her mother, Amalia, sewed children's clothes in a factory. The whole country struggled with inflation, shortages, and joblessness. There was another shadow in Melania's early life. Victor had fathered a son before he married Amalia. The boy's name was Dennis. A court test proved Victor was the father, but Victor never accepted Dennis. The boy grew up poor, raised by his mother. Dennis never became part of the Kanavs family. As Melania rose to fame, this secret brother stayed in the background, waiting for a word of acknowledgement that never came. Melania's first steps into the world of cameras came when she was just 5. She appeared in local milk ads, holding a glass of milk with a serious face. Her mother helped her get these jobs through contacts at the children's clothing factory. It wasn't just fun, it helped the family earn a little extra in a time when money was tight. From a young age, Melania learned how to stay calm under the bright lights of the camera. Her childhood friend, Mirjana Jelancic, remembered Melania as different. She said Melania always seemed ready to outgrow Sevnica. She had big dreams. She was polite, never gossiped, and often stayed quiet. Instead of joining in the chatter, she sketched clothes and looked at foreign magazines that friends smuggled in. She worked hard at art and languages, already thinking of a life beyond her small town. At age 23, in 1993, she posed for a local magazine in Slovenia, dressed as America's first female president. The photo showed her behind a desk, confident and serious. It was just a playful idea at the time. But years later, that image seemed to predict the role she would play on the world stage as First Lady. Everything changed in 1986. Melania was 16 and waiting for a friend after a fashion show in Ljubljana. That's when photographer Stane Jurko spotted her. He said he noticed her height, her hair, and her shy, serious face. He invited her to his studio. She said yes. That moment opened the door to her future. Soon, local agencies noticed her too. This was rare in a country still closed off from the wider world, but Melania broke through. After high school, Melania started studying design and architecture at the University of Ljubljana. But modeling offers kept coming. She decided to quit after her first year. Official bios later claimed she finished her degree. But in 2016, reporters found out the truth. She hadn't. The lie became a scandal when she was First Lady, but the choice to leave school showed how determined she was to follow her dream. As she moved to Milan and Paris, she realized her birth name, Melania Kanavs, was hard for Western clients. So she changed it to Melania Knaus. This helped her fit into the world of international fashion. It was part of leaving her old life behind. Melania also became fluent in 6 languages. Slovenian, English, French, German, Italian, and Serbian. Speaking so many languages gave her an edge. It helped her work with designers, photographers, and agents across Europe. It made her stand out among other models who struggled with language barriers. In 1992, at 22, she moved to Milan. The city was at the center of the fashion world. She signed with top agencies and worked with famous photographers like Helmut Newton and Patrick Demarchelier. She appeared on magazine covers and walked for luxury brands. She became part of the high fashion scenes in both Milan and Paris. Melania Trump's journey to the United States was filled with ambition, opportunity, and controversy. One of the most surprising parts of her immigration story was her receipt of the EB-1 visa in 2001. People call it the Einstein visa. It's supposed to be given only to those with extraordinary abilities: Nobel Prize winners, Pulitzer Prize recipients, Olympic champions, or people with major international fame. Melania, a model at the time, got this visa even though she wasn't on the level of supermodels like Tyra Banks or Naomi Campbell. This raised many eyebrows. Her portfolio, though solid, didn't have big awards or historic achievements. Critics pointed out that the visa didn't seem to match her profile. The matter became even more heated because her husband, Donald Trump, later called for tougher immigration rules and accused others of taking advantage of the system. In 2025, Representative Jasmine Crockett openly questioned how Melania had qualified. She said you need major achievements like a Nobel or a Pulitzer or Olympic medals or huge success in science, art, education, business, or sport. She said Melania had none of these. People still argue about whether privilege, power, and connections played a role in how Melania got this visa. But that wasn't the only part of her story that drew attention. Before Melania had the right visa, she worked in a legal gray zone. Between September 10th and October 15th, 1996, she earned about $20,056 for at least 10 modeling jobs. During this time, she only had a visitor visa, which didn't allow paid work. She didn't get her proper work visa, the H-1B, until October 18, 1996. This came to light in 2016, during Donald Trump's presidential campaign. The news was shocking because he had taken such a strong stance against illegal immigration. Records showed that she had worked for clients like Fitness Magazine and Bergdorf Goodman during that period. Melania always said she followed the law, but the evidence told a different story. Some people even wondered if she hid the truth on her green card or citizenship applications. Experts pointed out, though, that the U.S. rarely cancels citizenship unless the offense is very serious. Melania's modeling career took off after she came to New York. She worked with top photographers like Patrick Demarchelier and Helmut Newton. These names are linked with the biggest fashion magazines like Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, and GQ. One of her most famous shoots was a nude photo session for British GQ in January 2000. That image stirred up controversy during her husband's campaign years later. Even with these successes, Melania kept to herself. She stayed away from the wild party scene of the modeling world. People said she was serious, focused, and always disciplined. She stuck to a strict diet and worked hard, which helped her stay in demand in a tough industry. Behind the scenes, there was a man who helped shape Melania's path. Paolo Zampoli, an Italian modeling agent, discovered her in Milan. He brought her to New York and signed her to his agency, Metropolitan Models. He set her up in an apartment in Union Square with a photographer, Matthew Atanian. Zampoli arranged her early jobs and deducted living costs and fees from her earnings. His agency was well connected in both fashion and high society. In 1998, Zampoli hosted the party where Melania met Donald Trump. That night changed her life forever. Zampoli didn't stop at modeling. He worked briefly for the Trump Organization, threw fancy parties, and even became a UN ambassador for Dominica. His links and favors gave Melania rare chances, but also brought rumors. Some tabloids even accused her of being linked to escort services. The claims were false, but they led to lawsuits and more headlines. Melania's early New York years were not as glamorous as they seemed. At 26, she was older than many models starting out. She struggled to break into the top tier. Most of her jobs were second or third choice. Photographer Matthew Atanian, her roommate, said she seemed stiff, which may have hurt her chances at bigger roles. Her agency took rent, loans, and even pager fees out of her pay, so she didn't have much money left. But Melania kept going. She avoided the nightlife, stayed focused on work, and kept to her strict diet, always aiming for success. It was a night of wild lights and loud music in September 1998. At a New York Fashion Week party, Donald Trump met Melania Naus. The party was packed with models, celebrities, and wealthy elites. Trump arrived with another woman, Norwegian heiress Selina Middelfart. But the moment he saw Melania, he only had eyes for her. She was introduced by Paolo Zampoli, the man who helped her come to the US on a work visa. That meeting changed everything for both of them. Trump, still married to Marla Maples at the time, was instantly captivated. He ignored his date, drawn to the striking woman from Slovenia. Donald didn't waste time. He asked Melania for her phone number right there at the party, but she refused. She pointed out that he was there with another woman. Instead, she told him to give her his number if he was serious. Trump handed over all his numbers: office, home, Mar-a-Lago. Melania waited a few days before calling. Their first date was at Mumba, a trendy New York spot. From that night on, Trump was the only man she dated in the city. She had been close to giving up on her US dream. Meeting Trump came at a turning point in her life. In 1995, before she met Trump, Melania had already posed for a French men's magazine. The shoot was bold and shocking. It was for Max magazine. The theme was lesbian love. Melania, just 25 then, posed nude with model Emma Erickson. One photo showed Emma hugging Melania from behind in bed. Another showed Emma holding a whip, ready to strike. The photographer called it art, not porn. But the photos stayed hidden until 2016, when the New York Post splashed them across its cover. The timing was explosive. Trump's campaign was in full swing. The photos divided people. Some saw beauty. Others saw scandal. Trump defended Melania. He said such shoots were common in Europe. Then came the now famous British GQ shoot in January 2000. Melania lay nude on a fur blanket aboard Trump's private jet. She was handcuffed to a briefcase, surrounded by gold and luxury. Antoine Verglas took the photos. Trump didn't attend, but he was eager to see the pictures. Later, the photos caused a storm when Trump ran for president. Attack ads used the images to target voters, especially Mormons. Melania became the only first lady ever to have posed nude in a magazine. The debate over those photos has never stopped. That same year, in February 2000, Melania appeared in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. The shoot was playful. She posed in a shiny bikini, hugging a 6-foot inflatable killer whale on a sunny beach. This was a softer side of Melania's modeling. The photos stood out, especially when critics questioned her extraordinary ability for her US visa. The mix of playful and provocative images shaped her public image. Around that time, Melania posed again for Verglas. The theme this time was pure James Bond glamour. She was the perfect Bond girl, Verglas said. Melania posed holding a toy gun, perched on the wing of Trump's jet in a red thong, and wrapped in rich fabrics. These photos were about mystery and allure, but they too became part of the endless public fascination and judgment. Trump played a big role in Melania's rise. His Trump model management agency boosted her career. She got bigger jobs, more magazine covers, and more exposure in the US. Trump used his wealth and connections to help. By the time they married in 2005, Melania was a well-known figure in the fashion world. But Trump's agency faced troubles: lawsuits, labor complaints, and bad press. For Melania, though, it was a platform that helped her move up. Their relationship always drew attention, even on radio. In November 1999, they appeared on The Howard Stern Show. Stern asked Melania what she was wearing. "Not much," she teased. He pushed further. "Was she naked?" "Almost," she laughed. Trump joined in the banter. They joked about their sex life, live on air. The interview shocked many. When Trump ran for president, the clip came back to haunt them. From the start, Trump showed signs of wanting control. He often brought Melania to meetings, not as a partner, but as a trophy. He kept her out of real discussions. He said it was to avoid conflict with his ex-wife. But it showed how he saw their roles. Melania, smart and capable, was sidelined. This pattern followed her into the White House. Her image was managed tightly. Her independence was often questioned. The early signs were there all along. On January 22, 2005, Donald Trump and Melania Naus held one of the most expensive and talked-about weddings in American celebrity history. It happened at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach. The price tag was over $2 million. The guest list was packed with famous faces from politics and entertainment. Even Bill and Hillary Clinton were there. That's right, the same Hillary Clinton who would later face off against Trump in a bitter political battle. Melania's dress was a wonder on its own. It was a Christian Dior gown that took 550 hours to make. It had 1,500 crystal rhinestones and pearls and weighed almost 60 pounds. Instead of flowers, she carried a family rosary. Guests feasted on caviar, tenderloin, and Cristal champagne. The music came from the Michael Rose Orchestra. The cake? A $50,000 7-tier chocolate showpiece so impressive that guests were given mini versions to take home. Even Melania's tiara was a statement. It had 325 diamonds, worth $2 million, and was loaned by Ronald Winston as her something borrowed. In March 2006, Baron William Trump was born. From the start, Melania took a very hands-on role as a mother. She chose not to hire nannies, wanting to be there for every moment. She taught Baron both French and Slovenian so he could speak with her family. She encouraged his creativity, even letting him draw on the walls. She believed telling a child no all the time would kill their imagination. When Donald became president, Melania even stayed in New York for months so Baron could finish school before moving to the White House. She often picked him up from school herself and made sure to spend time with him, away from cameras and attention. But behind the scenes, things between Donald and Melania weren't what they seemed. Reports from sources like Michael Wolff and major news outlets revealed that they lived mostly separate lives. After Donald went back to the White House, Melania stayed at Trump properties in New York and Palm Beach, spending fewer than 14 days at the White House. Even at official events, they often went their separate ways after. At the funeral of Pope Francis, for example, she left by car while Donald took Marine One. These weren't just temporary choices. According to reports, this was how their relationship worked. The White House denied it, but people kept noticing the same patterns. The world took notice too, especially after videos went viral showing Melania avoiding Donald's touch. One clip showed them leaving Air Force One. Donald tried to hold her hand, but she moved it away. He tried again. She moved it again. In the end, he settled for resting his hand on her back. There were other moments like this too, at football games, public events, and people started making jokes about it. Memes called her hand the resistance. Experts studied the clips and pointed out her clear discomfort, adding to the talk of a deeper rift. In April 2010, Melania tried something new. She launched a jewelry and watch line on QVC called Melania Timepieces and Jewelry. It was an instant hit. The first batch sold out in just 45 minutes. The pieces cost between $30 and $200, making them affordable for many fans. Melania appeared on QVC herself to promote them. The success was so big that her official White House bio even mentioned it later. But the line had its critics. People pointed out that the jewelry was made in China, even though Donald often spoke out against outsourcing. The partnership ended, but that first launch set records. Melania didn't stop there. She spent over 10 years working on her own skincare line, Melania Caviar Complex C6. The products used cultured caviar from the south of France, rich in omega-3s, omega-6s, and vitamins. The line included a serum, moisturizer, night cream, cleansing balm, and peel. Prices ranged from $50 to $150. Melania used the products herself and even put them on Barron every night. But despite the fancy ingredients and high hopes, the products didn't sell well. The line was quietly discontinued, though it showed just how big Melania dreamed. Then, in January 2016, Melania made a move that left everyone guessing. She bought a $1.5 million apartment on the 33rd floor of Trump Tower. It had 1 bedroom and 1.5 baths. What made it strange was that she already lived just a few floors up in the penthouse. The apartment was bought under a company name, and no one ever explained why she wanted it. Was it for family, staff, investment? No one knows. The mystery only added to the public's fascination with her. In June 2018, Melania Trump stepped off a plane in Texas wearing a $39 Zara jacket that said, "I really don't care, do you?" She was on her way to visit migrant children separated from their families. The country was already angry about the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy. When people saw the jacket, they were stunned. It seemed cold and heartless. Social media exploded. News channels ran the image non-stop. At first, her team said the jacket had no message at all. But later, Melania admitted the jacket was aimed at the media. She said it was meant for those who criticized her. That made things worse. People now saw it as a deliberate insult during a humanitarian crisis. Even though she didn't wear the jacket inside the detention center, the damage was done. The image became one of the most unforgettable moments of her time as First Lady. That same year, more trouble came when secret tapes leaked. In them, Melania was heard saying, "Who gives a fox about Christmas stuff and decorations?" The tapes were released by her former friend and advisor, Stephanie Winston Wolkoff. People couldn't believe their ears. The First Lady, known for her White House holiday displays, sounded like she hated the job. The recordings also showed Melania defending the family separation policy. She said the kids were better off in U.S. facilities than where they came from. She even hinted that some migrants were coached on what to say. When the tapes went public, Melania claimed they were edited to make her look bad. She said she cared deeply about Christmas, but many found her defense weak. The tapes left the impression of a First Lady worn down by duties she didn't want. Then came the Rose Garden renovation in 2020. Melania decided to redesign the famous space that Jacqueline Kennedy had created in 1961. She removed cherry blossom trees and colorful historic roses. She replaced them with pale blooms and a minimalist look. Critics called it lifeless. A presidential historian said it was like erasing history. Petitions demanded the garden be restored. Melania insisted the redesign honored tradition and brought hope during the pandemic. But few were convinced. Many saw it as another sign she didn't respect White House history. Melania also played a key role in one of the biggest scandals of Donald Trump's 2016 campaign. When the Access Hollywood tape surfaced, Trump was caught saying awful things about women. His team was in panic. Michael Cohen later said it was Melania who suggested calling the remarks "locker room talk." That phrase became the defense they repeated again and again. Melania told CNN that Trump had been egged on by the host. She tried to soften the damage, but many thought the excuse rang hollow. In 2016, Melania fought back hard when a British tabloid suggested she had worked as an escort in the 1990s. She filed a $150 million lawsuit against the Daily Mail. She said the false story had hurt her brand at a time when she was about to become one of the most photographed women in the world. The case ended with an apology and a payment of $2.9 million. It wasn't the $150 million she had asked for, but it was still one of the biggest settlements for a First Lady. That same year, Melania faced another embarrassment. During the Republican National Convention, she gave a speech meant to shine a light on her life. But people quickly noticed that parts of it sounded exactly like Michelle Obama's 2008 speech. Videos comparing the two speeches went viral. Jokes flew across late-night TV. At first, the Trump campaign denied anything was wrong. Later, a speechwriter took the blame. Behind the scenes, Melania reportedly felt betrayed by someone on the team. The moment became one of the most talked-about convention scandals in years. After leaving the White House, Melania entered the world of digital money. She launched NFTs, starting with Melania's Vision, a watercolor of her eye sold for $1 SOL, around $150 at the time. She also backed a cryptocurrency called Melania Meme. She promised that some profits would go to foster children through her Be Best program. But many questioned the real impact of these projects. Critics saw them as another way to cash in on her fame. Finally, there was her Christmas ornament business. Melania sold ornaments with her signature, priced between $75 and $90 each. A full set could cost over $300. This came after she had been heard saying she didn't care about Christmas decorations. People called it Merry Griftmas. Some saw it as a smart business move. Others saw it as yet another example of using her White House role for profit. Melania Trump's life took a surprising turn in 2024. Just weeks before the presidential election, she released a memoir called Melania. In it, she shocked the world by taking a firm pro-choice stand. Her words were clear. She wrote that no one but a woman should decide what happens to her own body. She said it was a woman's right to choose to end a pregnancy if she wished. Melania explained that she had believed this all her adult life. This was a huge contrast to Donald Trump's anti-abortion position. After all, he was the one who helped overturn Roe v. Wade in 2022. Melania's statements put her directly at odds with her husband and the Republican Party. Her timing raised eyebrows. Why would she say this right before such a critical election? People wondered if it was personal conviction, political strategy, or something else. Either way, the debate about her words was fierce. Melania's plans for a possible second term as First Lady were just as surprising. In January 2025, she announced she wouldn't live full-time at the White House. Instead, she said she would divide her time between Washington, New York City, and Palm Beach. She explained that she wanted to be a good mom, a good wife, and a First Lady. With Barron at New York University, she wanted to be near him more. She also reportedly insisted on having her own bedroom at the White House. This wasn't new. She had done the same during her husband's first term. No First Lady had ever juggled their role like this. Melania was rewriting the rulebook in her own quiet way. She was doing the same in business. In April 2024, she launched a Mother's Day necklace for $245. It was customizable and meant to symbolize elegance and motherhood. Then she released a $600 jewelry piece called Vote Freedom. She blended politics and luxury in a way few had seen before. This wasn't new for her. Her QVC jewelry line had brought in over $45 million in 10 years. She even entered the world of NFTs with digital jewelry. Melania made sure her name stood alone. She avoided using the Trump name for her products. She wanted her brand to reflect independence. Her high-end designs kept selling, no matter how chaotic politics around her became. Her loyal customers kept coming back. And yet, Melania remained a mystery. In 2016, she bought a secret apartment in Trump Tower for almost $1.5 million. No one really knows why. Was it an escape, an investment, or something else? People still ask what her marriage to Donald Trump is really like. Reports say they live mostly separate lives. They've had separate bedrooms for years, in Trump Tower and the White House. They rarely spend the night together. Melania's net worth is estimated at $70 million. She made most of it from modeling and her businesses, but no one knows the full details of her finances. People also wonder if she has political ambitions. Will she step into the spotlight? Or will she stay in the shadows, keeping everyone guessing? These unanswered questions only add to the fascination with her.